So thank you so much to all of you for joining us today. The numbers are still increasing in our participation panel. So thank you again. Happy New Year to all of you. This is really exciting to see so many of you starting the year and joining us for the session. Today, we will be talking about AI, and as you know, a lot of those topics or content that we are covering really covers a lot. So bear with me, 30 minutes, a bit of a marathon run with all kinds of different interesting tips and tools. If you haven't met me before, my name is Monica. I have been with AlphaPlus for a long time, working with programs and encouraging instructors to use technology, explore technology, and have fun with technology. Now, the Lunch and Learn sessions you're joining today are really only 30 minutes, but the idea is to really kind of look at some of the tips and ideas that we come across or we have people asking us about. So they may not be everything and anything we can cover, but they really kind of start from some of the things we quickly learn or some of the questions we receive from the programs we are working with. And of course, we can't really cover everything, but I hope some of the tips and features and tools we cover with you and show you will be interesting for you and inspire you to go and explore them in more detail. Now, one thing I just want to highlight is that we are using Zoom Workplace Pro. So if you see screen captures or images, that's where I am at. And actually, I'm using version 6.7. I don't know if you ever actually went and checked your versions, but this is version 6.7 update from last Friday. So hopefully the latest one. And also I use Mac for my sessions. So if you see a bit different screen captures than you will see in the Windows, they're very similar, but there may be slight differences. And AI, we are talking about that today. It's actually making its way into our lives almost everywhere. So the only way I can think about AI is really changes, and it changes the way we do things, changes the way we um, report, do forms, anything else online. It changes the way we work. So it's amazing to see all the things that are happening, but also it means a lot of different changes and updates in the systems that we are using. And I think that's why I wanted to start this year with kind of giving you some ideas and a bit of overview of some of the things we are seeing. And since we are using Zoom, I just want to remind you about that version of Zoom that you're using. You may assume that your Zoom desktop, the one you see as an icon at the bottom of your toolbar, that it updates automatically. I have it set up to update automatically, but it never does. So I wanted to give you a few tips that if you want to check, don't do this now right now because when you're in the session, it's not going to work. But after the session, if you go to your Zoom desktop version, go to your profile image and look for check for updates, you may be surprised to see actually that you may not have the latest version. And what that means that some of the features I will be talking about today or some of the things you see on the screen may not work for you. So it's a good way to go back and at the beginning of the year check your Zoom updates to make sure you have the latest version. And one of those updates is the actual gestures. So I wanted to start with Zoom because it's a tool we are using every day here at Alpha Plus. Many of you may be using it for meetings, and you have seen gestures before. You have reactions where you can click and do hearts and a raised hand, a thumbs up, thumbs down. But what Zoom has added, and I don't know if you have seen that you can actually activate it, is I'm going to just launch my laser, make sure that I can show you. If you're in the React panel, there is an arrow pointing up and there's reaction settings. In there, you will see an option to use hand gestures to activate reactions. If you enable it, what will happen is if you hold your hand up for a bit of time, or you will do hearts and so on, those actual reactions will show up on your screen without you having to click on the actual reactions. So some of you are doing thumbs up, some of you are doing thumbs down. Test it. If you have the latest version of Zoom, you can do hearts, you can do a few more gestures. So it's kind of interesting to see that some of those gestures are making their way into the Zoom tools. And guess what? This is really AI behind it, right? So I can see you raising your hands to test it. Perfect. It takes around 2 seconds for the system to recognize it, and then you will see it. And you can lower the hand, you can lower everything, but those are reactions that are manual. That's AI working behind the scenes for us and showing us that we can do those things. Pretty cool for the learners. Rather than having them look for the actual toolbar, you can actually do it manually just by raising your hand. Remember, you have to have the latest versions of Zoom. If you don't, only a few reactions will work. So in the older versions, there was a hand and thumbs up. In the newer version, you actually have more. So the heart is actually a cool one that you can do as well. So I'm glad you're testing some of those tools. The other one is actually avatars. And this is actually coming up because we are sick. Many of us are sick. We are not feeling very well. We don't want to show ourselves. I know that many of you will turn off the cameras, but sometimes it's nice to see something or someone. And we can put a picture, but there's also Zoom avatars that are coming in. So you can create one for yourself where you will be able to generate an avatar. And then if I just go into my setting, you can see I just switched to an avatar on my setting in my video. And then you can select specific ones or you can select one that you custom make. So the one that I have, let me see if I can quickly launch that one. It just takes a second to find it in the system. The one I generated for myself kind of looks hopefully a bit closer to me, where I have my glasses, I have the hair and everything, and you can generate those right in the Zoom as well. So if you're sick, if you don't want to show your video, if you want to show learners how they can play with avatars, you can do that as well. So I really encourage you to take a look at the settings in your Zoom. I know many of you use backgrounds and so on, but you can also do avatars as well. There's also other features like adding hats and other features in your Zoom videos. So that's a nice way to explore and use the newer tools or newer updates as well. And going back to Zoom, one of the things I have seen one of you launching or asking for is actually the AI companion. So if you have never explored it, it's basically a tool that is built into Zoom. You may need to go into your settings to enable it. If you have an administrator, they may have to enable it. And that will allow you to have Zoom summarize what happened in the session. It will send you an email with actual notes of what happened. It actually breaks it down into sections even. So one thing that I want to highlight for you, and I'm just going to use my handy laser pointer, that when you start your Zoom session and you have AI companion enabled, make sure that you think about what's happening in the session, who is joining you, and in the settings that it technically only goes to the meeting host. As an example, if it will go to everybody in the meeting and you don't have a chance to review it, and somebody stays after the session, the companion still works, it may include additional information you may not want to have in the summary. So, sometimes you stay for a few more minutes, you summarize, you regroup after the meeting. Those discussions can make it into your AI companion if you don't turn it off before you actually finish. So, my suggestion for that, try it out. It's a really great tool to help you, especially in meetings when there's a lot of discussions and information shared, but make sure that you actually know where the email will be sent and who will be seeing it before you enable it. And it's really just an option for you in every meeting. Do you want to turn it on? You can say, no, I'm just going to close this, or you turn it on and it runs for you in the session. A very handy tool. So Smita is asking, are you going to record the summary, Monica? Yes, somebody actually asked for the summary, so enabled it, and hopefully that will work with everything we are doing. I just want to make sure that it does, but you never know. So my system is basically telling me that I am recording. I do have a transcript, so hopefully that will also do the AI summary for me as well. Okay. Now, let's go back to Zoom and do another site. One thing that I wanted to jump from Zoom is ChatGPT. And I know many of you are using ChatGPT and exploring in more details. Many of you are using paid versions versus free versions. I just did a quick dive in to see what's happening with ChatGPT. And one thing that I really kind of like is that in ChatGPT, they added images. So you're using all kinds of tools from Gemini to Copilot to ChatGPT to Canva to create images, but ChatGPT, even the free version now, has an option to generate images. And don't ask me why. Ernest Hemingway came up in my idea, so I just went into test it. I said, create an image of Ernest Hemingway reading a book. It did generate it for me, a really nice image. And then I had a question, does it really look like Ernest Hemingway? So I went online and searched for images, and there's one from PBS, which is an actual picture of Ernest Hemingway. And I'll leave it to you to decide if they look similar or not. But yes, it can generate images. And the other feature that ChatGPT has now is that you can actually set the tone in how you're interacting with your ChatGPT. So it's the way it's asking you questions, it's the way it's creating responses for you. You can change the tone from default to being a bit more friendly or being a bit more professional or being a bit quirky. So you can actually have slightly different conversations as well. So new and interesting tools in ChatGPT. Now, the other tool that you're using a lot is a Copilot. And as you can see, I'm jumping because I suspect many of you are using all kinds of different tools as you are using and exploring AI. And then just one more time, I'm going to go in and paste my slides in the message for you to make sure you have the slides and access to it. But going back to Copilot, there's a few features that are kind of rolling out. The first one I noticed, and I will want to make sure that, again, you can see my pointer. When you are in your email, if you're using Outlook 365, next to the title of the email, you actually may notice an icon called Summarize. When you click on it, Copilot will open right in your email and summarize the email for you. So I received an email from MailChimp about something. I didn't want to read it. I asked the Copilot to summarize it and he did it for me. It can be handy when you get longer emails and you don't have time to read them right away. Maybe you can go back at the end of the day, but you want to kind of get the gist. So the Copilot actually has that built in right into your email platform. The other interesting thing is if you're using PowerPoint, and we covered Copilot in PowerPoint in our earlier sessions, but one thing that's newer now is that when you create your slides, you may want to write and generate speaker notes. And before you actually had to type it up or maybe dictate, depending how you were working with it. But Copilot now can generate those for you automatically based on the content of your PowerPoint. So if you ever want to check this out and explore, you can click on View, then you can click on drop down next to notes, and then you will have an option to generate speaker notes for a specific slide or for all the slides in your presentation. Again, they may not be perfect, but they may help you with the starting point or actually see how AI is recognizing or reading your slides with the information you have provided in it. So kind of interesting to see that information in there. And the last thing in Copilot, if you are using Microsoft Teams, many people are using Zoom, others are using Google Meet, but some of you are using Microsoft Teams. So as you're using Microsoft Teams, you may have noticed that it's providing you a recap. Recap is only available when the session was recorded. So if it doesn't get recorded, you don't get all this information. But if it does get recorded, it has something like AI summary in Zoom with information of what happened in the meeting. It has the video recording, and now they're adding an option to have audio recap. What that means is that it will actually translate everything into an audio file, and then you can take it and listen to it as you're doing something else, as you're driving to work, or as you're going for a walk during lunch. So it's a potentially nice way for some of us to actually review the information without having to read everything because we may not have time for it. So, three interesting things coming up in Copilot. Yeah, and then Julie is posting in the chat. Copilot summarizes in Office 365 are very handy when you need to summarize an email conversation thread. That's perfect. See, that's really good to see. If you have other tips, please share them in our chat. We are learning from each other as we go as well. Now, I have limited time, so I'm kind of going through some of the information. I really want to make sure I give you some really cool tips and information. So Gemini is Google AI. So we did chatbot, ChatGPT, we did Copilot, and now we are taking a quick look at Gemini. One of the interesting things is there's Gemini 3, so newer version, and that is changing in the way we are working with our browsers. So Chrome browser. In the past, you had an AI overview as sort of the very first thing you would see when you would do search in Google. And many people don't like it. So what Google is doing is actually changing a bit how you browse for your information. So if you went to Google right now and you had your Chrome browser updated, so let me preface that, and you search for winter in Algonquin Park, very often your browser will now default to all section, and that will have the results that are kind of generic websites and information and a bit of AI. It's mixing it. In the menu to the left of it, you will see AI mode. If you click on it in AI mode, that's where you will see how AI is finding the information for you. And you also will have an option to ask more questions and interact with it. So basically, you have this Gemini built in into your browser as you're looking for information. Kind of neat. Now, some of you may say, I really don't like the AI in my browser and I really don't want it. So what Google is doing is in your toolbar in your browser, when you click on more, it will filter the information and you can click on web. When you click on web, it will default to the old way we were browsing with the sponsored sections on top and the results listed at the bottom. So if you still want to go back to using your browser and looking for information on your own without AI support, you can actually do that by going to the web browsing. Some people like it and they want to explore it, so I just wanted to show you that you can do that without AI as well. Now, Gemini itself has also been redesigned. There's a few different ways it's doing things. So one of them is how you can browse or use the information in Gemini. And you will notice there's this tiny section that says fast, but there's drop-down menu and you have fast, thinking, and pro. Those three things allow you to choose how the system will process the information. I know some of us are kind of worried about the energy that's being used, the power that's being used. So when you go fast and you have very quick basic information you're looking for, that's enough for you to have the Gemini process the information. But if you are doing a lot of math activities, maybe even coding, that's when you will actually switch to Pro to have more of that information. And interestingly, there's also a section called Tools. When you click on that, you will see an option to sort of say, this is what I want to do. Either create maybe images or maybe do a deeper research. Maybe I want to use Canvas, which is kind of all kinds of information that you may want to do with your bot, or guided learning. In guided learning, you can ask questions and the bot will be talking to you, asking more questions or giving you options based on the responses it gives you. So if you have never tried that, go to guided learning and see what it's going to do for you as well. Now, when it comes to Google products, you may also have heard about Notebook LM. I always thought it was learning management system because LM was usually LM, learning management system, but it's actually Notebook language model. It's a product from Google and it differs from Gemini. So Gemini basically is a public browser. It looks for information, it's a public bot, it gives you the answers. Notebook LM relies on the information you give it. So you basically have this platform that works as your own notebook or a binder, I can call it that way, where you will put all kinds of information, links, documents, videos, resources, and the bot within it will only use that information to give you answers to your queries or prompts. So it's almost like a customized notebook for you that you're using for different purposes. There's a free version for students and some researchers, but if you're going to put a lot of information into it, then they start charging you fees because they're saying, well, we need to store that information for you. So there will be fees involved. But if you want to try it out, check it out. It's kind of interesting in a different way of looking at it. So, a lot of AI tools and resources, and many of you are using prompts. So, I don't want to spend too much time on prompts, but one thing I just want to highlight is that me, myself as well, I usually use basic prompts. My first one could be write an email to my boss asking for a deadline extension. So, as an example of a very basic prompt. But if you're working on prompts and actually want your AI to give you good information, one of the tools is the create method, and it's using the idea that you want to provide character, request, examples, adjustments, type of output, and extra content to actually provide a really good prompt. So I thought I'll just include an example for you where you can see act as a diligent project manager. So I'm giving my character, write a polite email. This is the request I'm asking my AI to help me with to my boss asking for 2-day extension on the attendance report. Extra content that AI can use to customize the message for you. Use a professional yet apologetic tone. Those are the adjustments or things that you want the AI to consider. And please provide 3 different subject line options, the output you're looking for. You can also ask, I want actual email, I want a table, I want a chart. Depending on your prompt, you can ask for all kinds of things. But definitely, if you provide that kind of prompt, it's going to give you better responses than a very basic one I included above. So if you're learning and trying different things, consider that as you're working with your bot. Now, there's also other tips that we can explore and new vocabulary. That's just for me, it just blew my mind how many new words we kind of have to learn. I can't even remember them all. But there's a few shot prompting where you ask and provide different examples. Chain of thought, where you actually ask your AI to think step by step. Chain of verification, instruct the AI to double check the information it's giving you when it's providing results. So there's all different things you can include, including specific characters even. So number signs or hashtags or quotes will give you different results. And for example, just as an example here, single quote, double quote, triple quote will also give you a way to communicate with your AI and give it proper prompts. I was really surprised with the hashtags that it actually has a meaning, and you can use the hashtag, three hashtags, to break down the content in your prompt. So you can basically tell AI, this is the section where I'm giving you instructions. This is the section where I'm actually giving you context that I want to explore. So it's not as, it doesn't have to be as simple as just very basic prompt one line, although AI is getting smarter and giving us a lot of good responses, even with the basic prompts. Now, I kind of did a quick marathon through some of the AI tools you may or may not have explored before, and I have some extras. If I run out of time, you have extra slides from me that you can go back to and review. But I wanted to show you three tools: Canva, School AI, and Gamma as some of the tools with AI capabilities that you may actually like. And many of you are using Canva. We did cover Canva before. So I just wanted to point you to the Canva AI because it's changing and growing very, very quickly. So one of the ways you can do that is when you go to Canva, when you go to your landing page, very often you will have a window asking you, what will you design today? And one of the option is Canva AI. If you click on it, it will kind of pop up a box similar to what you see in other AI tools, where you can provide your prompt or instructions of what you want the system to do. And you can see it gives you even options. You can design something, you can create images, documents, video clips, whatever you want. But one thing that I really like is if you're on that page and you scroll down a bit more, it will take you to see what you can do with AI. And I think for me, very often, I just don't have the vision or ideas what can actually happen. So this gives you a breakdown of some of the possibilities. You can create images, you can create videos, you can create activities, you can create code. And the code basically means the system will help you build something based on your prompts and your needs. So if you actually are in Canva and you're going through it, you will see a lot of different examples. I just stopped on the first one that says a fun memory matching game because I thought, hey, we are starting the year. Our learners may need some interactions and fun as we are starting, or even our colleagues when we start our meeting. So when you click on that, you will land on a page that on the left will have a prompt. That's an example prompt telling you create an interactive memory matching game designed as a fun meeting icebreaker. That's just an example. You can customize it. You can give it specific instructions, how many participants, what the topic could be. You can provide that. I did nothing. I just sat there and actually read the actual prompt. And as I was reading it on the right side, the system started running a code for me. And I waited until it finished. And when it finished, it actually gave me the game. A game with different graphics, different information. And basically, the idea is that you can project this game on the screen in your class or with your teams during lunch break, during meetings. And then you do matching game until you match something. And when you match it, it will give you an icebreaker question to answer. It will give you around 6 or 10 or 12, whatever you decide to have, and it will give you all those games and activities as part of the AI building that you have built into Canva. So you can then publish it, you can share it. You can also include this game in your website, presentation, document, or whiteboard in Canva. Whiteboard in Canva is amazing if you haven't explored it. But I was sitting there, the system ran everything, put up this in front of me, and I'm sitting there. I have no idea how to use this game. No clue. I don't even know what I actually just did. So I went back to where I had my prompt. And what I did, I basically, you will see, I went and said, how do I use this game? Because I have no idea. And the system came back and gave me all kinds of tips and information. This is how you play the game. This is how you can use the questions. This is how you can customize the game. And that's when you kind of clicked. You can create all kinds of games activities using Canva just with the AI. And as you saw, there's so many different templates and activities and tools you can use using AI right in Canva for you. So I plan to use this with our team at one of our staff meetings to just to start the session because sometimes you kind of need to kind of change the mode as you're getting into meetings. So I hope you will like it, and it's all in Canva. Now, I don't know how many of you have used School AI before. Give me thumbs up or down in the chat if you would like, then I will have a bit of an idea. This is actually a tool that I heard from one of the instructors that we work with. He mentioned that he actually wants his learner to start using School AI to talk to a specific character. And I was really curious to see what is the School AI about. It is a website full all kinds of information, resources, and tools, AI related. So they actually pre-built or give you tools to generate lesson plans, spaces, and everything with AI behind it. So if you see, I can see many of you haven't tried it. I really suggest you go and try it. I went in and they say if you're a teacher, you will get it for free. I just connected to my Google account and I was able to get in and access the information. It can be a bit overwhelming. There's a lot of information there, but you will see just giving you a few examples that there's things you may like. For example, there's spaces. Spaces are very specific in a way where you can actually have something at the beginning of a lesson or at the end of the lesson, asking people for their mood, how was their weekend, how did you feel about this session. You can launch it in the class and the students can answer. Anytime you do that, it will give you a QR code or a specific link, or even you can add it to your classroom if you're using Google Classroom as well. Classroom, Google Classroom. So there's a lot of different spaces that you can use, and I really encourage you to try it out. There's also tools from building lesson plans to worksheets, so on. Even a tool to create jokes. So I'm like, okay, I'll just try it out. I clicked on it. The joke panel opens up. It asks me what's the grade, what kind of requests or content you are looking for. So I chose grade 10. There's no adult basic education in many of those tools, so you can have to adjust the grade level. And I said for mature students, I just kind of wanted to see what it will do. And it gave me three jokes. Why did the scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Or why was the math book sad? Because it had too many problems. So if you're teaching math, that could be a great opener for some of your sessions as well, or discussions as you're going in. So there are tools in there that can be very handy and very helpful. But going back to the tool that I was looking for, which is how do I chat with a character? So in School AI, you will see something called a dot. It's basically a bot built into the School AI website. And it's very interesting because it will actually work with you the same way ChatGPT or Gemini works with you. It will have a place where you can do prompting and have a conversation with it to help you generate something. One of the tools that it will create is something called historic figure chatbot. Let me just give you an idea. You saw Ernest Hemingway, and don't ask me why that character came into my head, but that's who I was thinking about. So I said, okay, create a historic figure chatbot for Ernest Hemingway. And what happens, and I'm going to quickly launch this just to show you, if you go and use your phone and scan the QR code, you will be able to go in and see the actual chatbot in action. And it will work after the session. So you don't have to do it now. But the idea will be that it will allow you to have a learner talk to bot that takes the role of Ernest Hemingway. So he can talk about his trip to Cuba, about the books he wrote, and so on. I also played with Santa Claus, and I said I want to be the character of Santa Claus. And the bot was using and talking to me as if it was a Santa Claus. So if you're talking to your students, teaching your students about AI, this tool is amazing. So if you have a second, scan the QR code. I know we're kind of getting close to the end of the session, but scan the QR code. I can also send you a link. Actually, here, I can post it in the link here. I have a copy of it. And it will have, you can have fun with it. So in the chat, I'm going to put in the information. So there's a question, is School AI free? I was able to get in as a teacher and it says it's free for teachers. There may be some limitations or the school can decide or the program can decide to actually purchase something. But the teachers I talked to, and then when I was able to get in, it was free. I didn't have to do anything. If you start exploring, there may be some extra features, but the basics and things I was able to try, they were free. And this was just fun. So again, if you're working with learners, trying different things, this could be a great way. So shout out to the school board teacher who talked about School AI because it's a really neat tool. Now, I have 1 minute left. So as I said, I have extra things for you. The last one is Gamma. And Gamma is a tool that allows you to create presentations, social media posts, and so on. And it's fairly simple to use. You go in, put in your prompt, and it helps you generate the presentation. So you have slides for that. I just want to show you that my prompt was 5-slide activity to discuss New Year resolution. It created an outline with 10 slides because in the settings, I forgot to change from 10 cards to 5 slides. So it did create 10 cards. That's the maximum it can do for you. But then it asked me for the layout. It asked me for animations I want or images I want. And I clicked generate. And when you go back to my slides, you're going to see it's a 10-page presentation with graphics, images, activities, tips to talk about New Year resolutions. Depending on the level of your students or how you may want to work through that, you can go back and adjust everything because anywhere you are, you can click and change the text or remove the text as well. So look at the presentation, the look of it. That was 5 minutes or less to create a presentation. So if you have never tried Gamma before, try it. And there's a good question. Do you run out of credits with Gamma? Yes. 400 credits, which is around 10 presentations for free. After that, they charge you. However, what I kind of like is it gives you ideas, or it can actually preset for you a few presentation themes or layouts that you can repurpose later. A lot of programs and organizations we talk to, they love this tool. So actually, some programs invest and purchase the license. It's around $100 a year for a smaller license. So, it's amazing. And then you can see some of the feedback in the chat that people are finding it amazing. So this is it for me. It's 1 o'clock, 1:01. I'm sorry, I'm a bit over. But I'm glad that you were able to join us. Of course, there's the feedback that I hope to ask you for. If you have a minute to do it now, I'm going to post it in the chat for you. If you have to go, I totally understand. I will send the link in the follow-up email. But we always appreciate it. And as we are getting closer to the end, I really hope you will give us good feedback of what we can do in the next fiscal year. So I'm really happy that you're putting in all kinds of feedback for me to go through. I can stay a few more minutes if you want to explore something or if you have any questions. Also, just a reminder, there's other presentations we do. So we have one more Lunch and Learn coming up in February. This one is on social media and marketing tips. But also my colleagues Tracy and Guylaine are planning to talk about digital technology in daily life. And those sessions start next week, January 14th, or AI in daily life, exploring learning resources that's coming up in February. So there's lots of good and interesting things that are coming up, and I hope I inspired you today to try and explore new and different tools. Thank you so much for today.